Return to Omashu is the third episode of Season 2 of Avatar: Last Airbender, the greatest show of all time, at least in my opinion, hopefully yours too. And I rarely hear people talk about this episode, which is strange on paper, honestly, since it's the introduction to Mei and Ty Lee, and Azula and Boomi is also in this episode, and we get a return episode to Omashu. So how does this not have more hype, or how does this not have any more breakdowns on YouTube or the community buzzing about it? It's honestly, it's kind of puzzling me, because this has so many flaws to point out, glaring flaws. So I don't understand why people aren't dissecting this on a table. But that's why we're here today. We're gonna break this episode down to the bone and explain why Return of Omashu is strange. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It really helps the channel out. Comment down below which episode I should do a breakdown on next. And without further ado, let's get right into it. We open on a captured Omashu, which is a direct follow to the Cave of Tulawu, which came before it. We get the frustrations from the gang and then quickly move on. This is a quick scene. The pacing really snaps up, and it really shows the pacing in the entire episode. It is a really packed episode. Well, packed in a way that it doesn't have anything, but still packed. It's a strange, I'll get to it later, but we do get a fun Sokka joke when he has his mouth open and everything and swallows all the... That's pretty funny. I thought it was mewing by the way he moves around with the ladies. Honestly, he'd be... Oof! I need that man's game. But then we quickly move on to Mei. Remember the fast pacing, and we get her intro scene and her intro dialogue, and she is brooding and emo and this kind of bad girl, mad, dark stuff. So gothic kind of vibe, and it is Mei's entire personality, and it's kind of drags her down as a character in a way. She does get a really good episode in the Boiling Rock, but up to that point she doesn't get much characterization outside of this brooding emo side of her that we see far too often, in my opinion. We do, however, get a surprisingly great action scene right after Mei's introduction, with Aang stopping a boulder, which really shows his character, and it's a great way to show that in action. And then we get a pretty great chase with some good moves, some creative uses of the planks, so which shows up later with Katara in the finale fight. So we get a surprisingly great one, a quick one, but a great one, honestly. A little later in the episode we get introduced to Ty Lee, but I'm gonna jump to that right now since this is the introduction of Azula's kill squad, so let's take them together. So Ty Lee is my preferred one of Mei and Ty Lee, and I feel like most people thought she's more lovable, and maybe that's the design, but she is kind of one note as well as Mei is, but she gets a little more character, especially in the episode The Beach, where she really gets to shine for a moment, where she's really put to the side often throughout the whole show. Her and Mei are both kind of put to the side. But Ty Lee's upbeat nature and Azula's manipulations are really shown here. So we get Ty Lee's fun-loving personality, which people really clung to, and we also see Azula's just ruthless nature and how she manipulates Ty Lee to join the group in a interesting way, and she really gets it to work, because Azula, you really get this fear about her, and everyone fears her, even Ty Lee and Mei, and that really adds to her intimidation factor, let's say. Now with that over, let's move on to the escape, where the whole population of Omashu walks right up because of some sickness. This is the stupidest thing ever, and it's so baffling how anyone thought about this. It is foreshadowed in the beginning when Sokka gets the sickness, so it is good foreshadowing, but it's just so silly, and the whole I'm not gonna swear, but the whole town walking out, it's so horrible for the governor, because then they don't have no workers, like who's gonna supply and everything, who's gonna work the mail, who's gonna get some food, like what are they doing? And now they don't have any labor, they don't have nothing, so like how does that even work? That's just stupid. Maybe they can just take the city and then put in more of their own people to like export or make if they have some population issues on the mainland of the Fire Nation, they could move citizens over, I guess. So that's one point, but it's just, is it stupid? Yes. Is it logical? No. Is it a little funny? Yeah, it's a little funny, and it's pretty awful, even though it is pretty funny at the same time. But it's because it's awful that it is funny. It's kind of that type of funny. It's like Sam Raimi's third, like some Spider-Man 3. It's kind of that vibe, and we love and we hate it at the same time. Ooh, also the baby walking out with them with the help of Momo and escaping. It's cartoonish fun, which isn't too bad on its own. If you just take that snippet and just have it as a little mini snippet, like, I would have no problem with it. By itself, it's pretty good, honestly, but it's just so stupid that it would more fit into something like maybe BoJack. That it would fit right into that world, but Avatar is a little more serious. We have goofiness, we have everything that, but it's still a drama in many ways, and this is some serious stuff. So I feel like this is a step too far, in my opinion. Now, I don't really care about that middle part too much, that camping and everything. So let's just skip to the finale. The other one is so boring. They just do a head count, whatever. The finale. It's good that they didn't trade with the Boomi and the baby. It doesn't make sense, like Azula says. It's so obvious. It adds to her reputation of sorts that she brings it up, but I feel like it's just, how does they even go through with this, I guess. But it does make sense for the governor, which is his son, so it has more value. So I'm not gonna harp on that too much. But the fight, it's pretty fun. The scaffolding fights are pretty classic at this point. We see them pretty often. I can just remember like Shang-Chi, and for some reason I'm blanking totally on scaffolding fights right now. But we do see one in the unaired pilot. If you haven't seen that one, go see that. That's pretty cool Avatar lore. But yeah, the fight is pretty fun. We get to see some use cool bending moves, and we get to see Ty Lee's ability to chi block. That's pretty cool. And Mei is also pretty cool from this one with her daggers that she throws. So it's a pretty good fight, and these two are show to be formidable against Sokka and Katara, because they again and again prove that they are more skilled, and I love to see them fight together and see Katara and Sokka grow, and over time being able to best them in the final season. So love to see that. When it comes to Boomi, Boomi does teach Aang a lesson here, and that is to wait and listen, the neutral Jin, as he puts it. But Aang do use this, especially to find Toph later on in the season, so it does really carry on directly to that, since he does look for a teacher that waits and listens, and he points that out in the episode, the Blind Bandit. So that's pretty easy, which makes it somewhat satisfactory. It's kind of, though, why it's not 100% satisfying. That's how I'll put it. It's not 100% satisfying. Why does he have to stay? Like, why does he have to be in there exactly to wait for the right moment? Why isn't this the right moment? That is one question. I understand like the neutral Jin argument he puts forward, like you should wait for the right moment, but why wait for it there? Why can't you just wait for it with Aang while he teaches Aang earthbending, which is kind of the most important job in the world? And why like throw Aang out there, and maybe he doesn't find Toph, and it was close that he doesn't find Toph, and maybe Toph doesn't go away or go with them, and maybe he doesn't find Toph for the first beginning. Like, there's not too many, or there's no one at that time better than Boomi at earthbending. So not even Toph at this point is better than Boomi, in my opinion. So Boomi is the most powerful earthbending in the world, the most wise one, the oldest one. Why doesn't he teach Aang right there and there? That would be much better right now. How does he have the wisdom? He is not that, I know he's old, but he's not that wise to be able to predict the future, so Aang would find another earthbending teacher, or predict the future for the Black Sun, because he didn't know that. So it's just not 100% satisfying. That's all I'm getting at. It's just a little bit from that. It's pretty good, it's just not 100%. But overall, it's a pretty bad episode. It's just the cartoonishness in the middle, it really drags. They have this fast pacing, which do keep up, but we have some really useless scenes, so it kind of drags down a little bit in the middle. We do have some pretty good fights, that's something I'll add to. But yeah, the episode isn't too funny. We have some good jokes, but we always have some good jokes. The storyline is a little rushed. Also, just the dialogue, honestly, with these supporting characters in this episode is so flat and so generic. We also always get some Azula greatness, and the gang is pretty locked in at this point in season 2. But some supporting characters get really weak lines here, in my opinions. We get some weak lines from the general / freedom fighter, and some from him again later on at the camp. So that's the two I could think of right there and there, but I'm sure there's more, since I did write it up, so there should be some, right? I should probably check that later. Anyways, but yeah, maybe a middle of the road episode for season 1, but for season 2 standards, no, I cannot put this over like a 3 out of 10 for a season 2 episode, because it does not match up for the run that Avatar goes on in a few episodes. It's not the episode after that, or maybe after that, but when they get to the Blind Bandit, oof, man, Avatar just legs it. Man, it's so good after that. Thank you for watching this far. Sorry for all the rambling at the end. If you want more episodes, go to my channel, subscribe. I drop one new breakdown every single Thursday, so be ready for that every week. Like if you like the video, obviously. Comment down below which episode I should do a breakdown on next. And until next time, have a great week.